What is going on, guys? This is Wade here with Tungsten Cat Sports, and we are back. As you saw from my previous message, I was going to go over the Texans. That will again be later this week, but I thought with the NCAA, both the men's and women's tournament coming to an end, as they're doing the Final Four for the women tomorrow, Friday, and then the men on Saturday with the championship game following Sunday and Monday for the women and men respectively, why not give y'all my takes for this as if it really matters, because I have absolutely zero credibility to speak on anything that involves college basketball. I watch college football, but basketball, I only watch March Madness, but you know what? Whatever, here we go. Final Four picks. The women will be playing Friday. We've got NC State versus South Carolina at 6 o'clock Central for us. And then following that will be UConn and Iowa, which will be following that game shortly. Both of those games can be viewed on ESPN. So you can see on your screen, we got NC State versus South Carolina. South Carolina, that haven't lost a game all season. They're like 36-0. So they've looked, they haven't lost. Now, they did have a scare with their previous game, but they were able to pull it out. And then the NC State, the men are also in the Final Four as well. So both the men's and women's team for North Carolina State, those Wolfpacks are fighting it out. So it's going to be a good matchup. I think both of these games will be really good for the women. But I see South Carolina pulling it out. Unfortunately, no upset right here. Definitely South Carolina finishing off, making it to the championship game, which will be played Sunday. Now, for the evening game, we've got UConn versus Iowa. So, Paige Buchers versus Caitlin Clark. So, that is going to be pretty much all you're going to see for that game is both of those young women and how awesome and how great and how far they've come. So this will be a really good game. This is a tough one to choose from. I think I want to lean Caitlin Clark in Iowa. Again, not the upset, I know, 1v1 going into the championship game on Sunday. But she is... she took down LSU with Angel Reese, and she is fighting her way to become one of the all-time greats for college women basketball. And I think this is where she gets it here. I think she's going to be able to make it to the championship game. And I think she's going to pull out the victory over South Carolina for the championship. So I think Caitlin Clark and Iowa, it makes the most sense story-wise for them to overcome and to revenge their loss against LSU from last year, and for Caitlin Clark to really establish her legacy. It just seems like that's kind of where the storyline is going. And there's a similar storyline, which I think is also going to happen on the men's side. But yeah, there I go. I've got South Carolina and Iowa moving on to the championship, with Caitlin Clark and Iowa cutting down the nets on the women's side. Now for the men's will be playing in Phoenix, and this will be on Saturday, the Final Four games, with the championship game on Monday. So we've got NC State versus Purdue to start off the matchup, which this looks like a super, super exciting matchup. This one will be, and also I forgot to say, the women's team will be, the women's games will be on ESPN, the men's will be on TBS. So the back to the men's though, 5 o'clock tip-off, NC State versus Purdue. NC State's big man DJ Burns, who will be battling up against Zach Edey, who almost has like 6 or 7 inches on him. Zach Edey's 7'4", NC State's big man DJ Burns is, I think he's listed as 6'9", but he's more closer to 6'7". But man, NC State, again, the men though, this is an 11th seed making it to the Final Four. They have really, really been fighting. They've been strong. So it's really tough to pick against them. But man, the storyline with Zach Edey, people either love him or they either hate him. And a lot of people say if this was the NBA, 20 years ago in the 90s and early 2000s, Edey would be a top 5 pick. Now with the 3-point game and the way the big men have evolved, there's not really a need for that presence. But I can't see why he couldn't thrive on an NBA team getting 15 minutes as a backup center, as a really good defensive center. Obviously, I think Zach Edey and NC State continue to pull it out. Shocker, but don't be surprised if NC State takes it, because they've been on a roll. But I do think Purdue, they finally get over the hump to make it to the championship game. And then for the men's evening game, we've got Alabama versus UConn, which will be following the tip-off for the previous game. And I keep this one simple. I think it's a real easy pick. I think it's going to be UConn here. Their bigs have just been all over the board. They really haven't had any scares in the tournament. Alabama, they've been able to pull out each game. They've had a couple hiccups throughout the tournament, but I just think UConn gets them here. And I actually kind of like UConn men to even cover the spread. I think we're going to get Purdue versus UConn Monday night in the championship. I know, not exciting picks. There's no upsets. I just don't see that really happening for these final few games, because these number one teams are really head and shoulders above everyone else. So then for the championship game, that means it'll be Purdue versus UConn. And again, like I did with Caitlin Clark in Iowa, I think it's going to be Zach Edey's time. I think he's going to cement himself, win the championship, and try to convince us, one of the NBA teams, just give me a chance. Just give me a chance. I won the championship. I'm 7'4". Like, how bad can he be? You tell me a team can't take a second round pick on him just to anchor down their defense. Rockets, we could use a defender. So second round pick, Zach Edey, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think Purdue will be victorious. They'll finally end their run. I think it's been 30 or 40 years since they've been able to win a championship. And so, again, I know storyline, but, ESPN, they do this all the time. College, they like their storyline, so they want to get the most revenue, most money, most watch. So this is how it's gonna be. So there you go. The women, Caitlin Clark in Iowa. The men, Purdue and Zach Edey. And hopefully, if that works out, then we'll be victorious and I'll look super smart. And if not, hey, I told you I didn't have any credibility to really talk about this other than just being a fan. So it's your fault for following me. But there we have it. And enjoy these final games. They should be really fun. Make sure you spend time with family and friends and just sit back and watch these young kids really play to try to make a legacy for their name. This has been Wade with Tongues Cat Sports. Thank you very much, and goodbye.